Most people think that confidence is loud, decisive, certain, unshakable, but some of the most grounded people I've ever met don't sound confident at all. They sound quiet. And that's where a lot of people get confused about the difference, because ego often looks like confidence and spirit rarely announces itself. If you're successful, driven, or highly visible, this really matters because you're constantly making decisions. People are watching you. Outcomes carry weight. And in that environment, it's easy to mistake urgency for clarity. Ego moves fast and quick, and spirit moves steady. Learning that difference can change how you lead and create and live. Hi, I'm Dr. Asha. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Real Talk. I want to shift gears a little bit about sharing some differences between ego and spirit. I've been having numerous conversations with clients of mine about this topic, and I wanted to make a small series here with my podcast to get real and to talk about these things, because these are things that we don't necessarily always talk about, but experience. You know, there was a time when I believed confidence meant having an answer immediately. If I paused, I thought I was weak. If I reflected, I worried I'd lose the momentum. So I spoke quickly, decided quickly, moved very quickly. People praised that. But internally, something kept on feeling off. I wasn't grounded. I wasn't managing anything properly. I was managing perception, actually, and not the actual situation at hand. And that's when I realized something very uncomfortable. What I called confidence was actually control. Ego isn't arrogance. For high-level people that are out there achieving a lot and doing a lot, entrepreneurs and managers, ego is far more subtle. It's needing to be right. It's needing to be seen as capable. Needing certainty so no one questions you. Needing to move quickly so doubt doesn't catch up. Ego says, if I don't decide now, I'll lose my edge. And spirit says, pause, let clarity land first. Spirit doesn't rush. Now, whenever I'm talking about spirit, you can call it your soul, you can call it your inner guidance, your intuition, your inner knowing, whatever word you choose. For me, the word is spirit. And for most people that are used to momentum, this can feel threatening. Spirit doesn't explain itself loudly. It doesn't compete. It doesn't perform certainty. It feels like an internal knowing that doesn't need applause. And ego hates that because ego survives on validation. I once delayed a decision that everyone expected me to make immediately, not because I didn't know, but because I knew too well. The pause made others uncomfortable, but for the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was listening inward and deciding how I was going to respond. That decision ended up being one of the cleanest decisions I've ever made. No regret, no emotional residue, and that's how you know when spirit is leading. A simple way to tell the difference. Ego feels tense, it feels pressurized, it's loud because it's afraid. Spirit feels settled, it invites, it's quiet because it's grounded. If you feel rushed, contracted, or defensive, your ego is more likely driving the boat. If you feel calm but clear, spirit is present. There's a distinction there that we usually just go through our daily life not realizing. We usually don't learn to take the time to reflect and self-reflect and take a moment to pause. The part that most of us don't talk about is when ego leads for too long, life doesn't fall apart, it becomes heavier. Decisions start to carry emotional residue, success feels less satisfying than it should, and every win that you have feels oddly draining. You're still moving forward, but something feels misaligned. And that's often when people say, well, I don't know why I'm so tired. Everything's going well. What's happening? It's a subtle thing that's happening. Ego is managing outcomes and spirit is asking you for more alignment. And those two don't move at the same pace. If you're accomplished, you've been rewarded by pushing through, for deciding quickly, for staying composed, for carrying responsibility without hesitation. So when spirit asks you to pause, it can feel highly inefficient, even irresponsible. But ignoring that signal doesn't make it go away. It just shows up later as burnout, restlessness, or quiet dissatisfaction. Spirit doesn't shout, it waits. Here's a subtle shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, what will this look like if I don't act now? Ask yourself, what will this cost me if I don't listen now? That single question moves you out of that fear-based urgency and more into faith and into grounded leadership. You don't lose momentum, you gain precision. Here's what I want to leave you with. Ego will always offer you speed. Spirit will always offer steadiness. Ego wants certainty so it can relax, and spirit is already relaxed. When you learn to tell the difference, your decisions change, your energy changes. You stop reacting, you start responding. And that's not a loss of edge, that's mastery. If you're someone who carries responsibility, visibility, or influence, this work matters because the most powerful leaders aren't the loudest in the room, they're the most aligned. Let's dive into this a little bit deeper this season. We're learning how to lead, decide, and live from a place that doesn't need to prove itself. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time.